The Saints 2024 schedule has been released. So, of course, it's time for the way too early season record prediction show with a special guest star. I'm Tim. Let's talk Saints. So, right now, I'd like to welcome a good friend of mine, fellow diehard Saints fan, who so far has been mostly behind the camera or all behind the camera because been kind of helping out in the executive producer role. But right now, I'd like to introduce to you Mr. Scott, and we're going to talk about the schedule here for a few minutes. How's it going, man?
I'm doing good.
Doing good? Hanging out in the bedroom, waiting to talk about what the hell did the NFL do to our schedule? What is
Yeah.
the madness going on the first 5 weeks? Actually, first seven.
Well, if this would be shown one game at a time, the second you see Carolina Panthers, you'd probably like do a fist pump. But then the next couple games between Dallas, Philly, Atlanta, Kansas City, and arguably Tampa Bay would make you cry. So I think we're definitely going to start off 1-0. After that, I have no clue.
Yeah, I feel Dallas. I'm almost talking about. Yeah, that's that's going to be a tough one, especially having to go there. Philly, I don't know. Do you get the Philly that started hot last season, or do you get the team that limped into the playoffs and got drugged by Tampa Bay in a wild card game? I don't know what's going to happen there.
Well,
Atlanta's going to be better, and Carolina, in theory, could be better also. But I feel like we should still beat them, especially at home on opening weekend. But it's the way we played so inconsistently last year. It's if we get that cleaned up, I would feel a lot better about a home win over Carolina week one. But yeah, I would definitely put in the win column.
the Philly game could go one or two ways when you were just saying it. Either we're going to get beat down and the tush push is going to be used all over us, or like I heard the other day on TV, the tush mush. We might get lucky and do something, but the only game in the first six, KC, I'm definitely scared of. I know that's an L,
Yeah,
but then
yeah,
everybody's talking about Mr. Peyton coming to town in week 7. That's going to be actually every Saints fan who's ever lived is going to watch that doggone game.
yeah. That ought to be a that one's going to be intense. And I actually saw something the other day, people talking about, or maybe you told me about it. The conversation of is Peyton going to be cheered or booed when he walks in,
Mm-hmm.
and on
Talked
that
about it.
Thursday night game? And I'm like, well, it depends on what our record is at the time. If we're 1-6 or 1-5, we on a 5-game losing streak after beating Carolina. Yeah, odds are the reception ain't going to be all that great, but who
Uh,
knows?
the Saints fans, like my lifetime, have been ornery.
Yeah,
Whenever we came back from Katrina and the Falcons, there was no team. It could have been the Madden all world team and came in that Superdome, they were not losing that game. There was no way. And just the weird person in me that knows Saints fans and like this way that building is with that team in that building. I just don't see him losing. I do not see him losing to Sean in that game. I don't. There's just something about that building and the things that happen on certain times. There was a lot of bad football played in that building, a lot of bad
Ooh.
football, but certain things about like situations like Denver coming with Sean, to me is just equivalent to like I said, the Katrina and the other games. Like it's just going to be good. It's going to be a great atmosphere, I think, in the dome because that's going to be a playoff type level atmosphere.
I I think it's going to be intense, especially being a Thursday night game. And where Denver's at, because he's having to really rebuild it now. He tried to kind of rebuild it as much as he could last year, so there's no telling what kind of football team is coming in. Um, yeah, the excitement level is going to be high, regardless of whether we're accepting of the guy that was the coach of our one and only Super Bowl win, or if we're going to boo him out the building, or anywhere in between. Or I've I look, I remember several times being in the dome where an ex player came in and played. Um, I'm trying. Well, Sam Mills would pop into
Carolina.
mind. So the Saints fans were kind of giving him a little what for during the game, but after the game was over, it was like all love. It's like, man, Sam, you're still our guy. Just unfortunately, for the last 3 hours, you were playing for the other team, so we had to give you some crap. But other than that, man, so I think that's probably going to be a uh, a situation where that may arise. But if he comes in and blows us out and beats us by 30, oh no, it's going to be chaos and madness. Um, this is also the point week 7 ends, because I remember yesterday when we were on the phone talking about it, you were like calling double, triple bullshit on this October 7th through October 17th stretch of 3 games and
Three
basically
games,
10
10
days.
days.
Yeah.
That's that ultra safe NFL. I mean, they're trying to keep the teams playing once every 3 1/3 days. I don't understand it. I don't understand someone who bangs the drum of being safe, calling like you said in one of your podcasts, car wreck is like a football game. So now you got like a 3 car pileup between three
Yeah.
weeks. I
Yeah.
mean,
You're,
it's just
you basically, yeah, it's the old smash up derby, just keep
mhm.
driving your car and into another car, just keep doing it until um I don't know if anybody else has that. I think you said you heard somewhere somebody else has the three. Might be whoever plays the first Monday night, Jets or
I
somebody.
think it's the Jets. I think that I know I was looking at it, watching on TV, and somebody said it. I think it was the Jets because they start off on Thursday and they have 6 primetime games or 6 televised games. So Thursday would count. Then never mind. But it's either the Jets and who the Jets play the first week, the 49ers. It's one of those two teams
Yeah.
that play 3 and 10. That's I
So,
mean that's records, and
so you,
we got the Wednesday game now. But that's what two teams play on Christmas. That's a Wednesday. That's going to be a brand new day we're going to sneak into.
yeah, on week 17. And I think all the teams involved with that play like on a Saturday game or a Friday game or something before, so it's not like a normal Sunday. But yeah, the league that, hey, we player safety, and when you get these points where you're jamming these games up in short periods of time, and I don't know if anybody's traveling, because we know one, it's us. We know there's a second, which you think is either the Jets or the 49ers, but somebody on that first Monday night game. There's no telling how many more are in there. And if I'm the players union, the next time they want to crack the collective bargaining or it comes up, I'm like, yeah, I think we need to talk about this 3 games in 10 days junk. That basically just boiled down to this whole scheduling thing is the NFL just making sure they're getting the best ratings on or best possible, attempting to get the best possible ratings on prime time.
And
So
the
yeah.
worst part about that first game, we talk about like whichever team it is. What about the teams that are playing in Rio or the teams that are playing
Oh
like
yeah.
they got 3 or 4 teams playing like all over? Like where's Waldo? I mean, we're playing in every country except the United States. I mean, I know they're trying to grow their brand, but that's the kind of stuff you need to spread out across weeks instead of doing it all in one week. In my opinion.
Yeah, yeah. I'm thinking definitely. And it could probably be integrated better, but I think they're just terrified of not. And this is where what bothers me on this whole thing, the way they're doing this. They're not. They're more worried about trying to create a compelling story that people are going to want to watch in prime time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, if you keep the games good, even if it's two teams that are not having great seasons, but they're playing decent football against each other, you can still have a good game, a great game, an entertaining game to watch. You don't need to sell it with a story like they keep trying to do. So I really wish they'd get out of that habit. And a lot of this would probably go away where they could use a little more common sense and go, let's try not to make multiple teams play 3 games in 10 days, which
Yeah.
ends here on week 7 in the at least it ends on a Thursday night game, that stretch.
Mm-hmm.
So we
They get
basically
like
almost have
a mini bye.
a mini bye. It's like 10 days off. You play 3 and 10, and then you get almost 10 days off to the Chargers, which, man, I don't know what to do with those guys. If you want to talk win or loss and going, I have no clue what's going to happen there. That's a good football team that apparently had a very bad coach in Brandon Staley for a very long time. And
Yeah.
so Harbaugh shows up there going, could just a coaching change, head coaching change, all of a sudden put like 3 or 4 wins back on the schedule for him? And I'm like, it could be because they have a good quarterback. They have turned over some of their roster. So it's
Yeah. They called me to go
not
play
that high
receiver.
powered. Yeah, what's that?
They called me to go play receiver because they
Yeah,
got rid of
exactly.
everybody.
They lost Eckler, who's in Washington now. So there's a little turnover on the offensive side, but it and plus we have to go to the West Coast, and we never do well going to the West Coast.
No, the second we go over there to the 3 o'clock time, so the three o'clock time zone, it's never good for us.
Never. And then we actually, which would be in theory the weakest on paper division opponent we have, go there on week 9. So we're done with our 2 division wins everybody thinks we have
Mm-hmm.
by roughly a little shy of the halfway point of the season.
Yeah,
Man.
then we play Atlanta and then Cleveland. Cleveland actually doesn't scare me because I think that their quarterback, I think Joe Flacco is actually better than Deshaun Watson for that team. So as long as they come with Watson, I think we have that. To me is just almost as easy as the Carolina game. I know they got a killer defense. I know they have great players on that side of the ball, but watching Deshaun play football the last year and a half since he's came back from the suspensions or whatever,
Not the same guy.
No, he's not nowhere near the same guy. I just think he's a very overpaid quarterback right now.
Who, and honestly, since almost 5% of that contract is guaranteed of that
Yep.
huge number.
He got paid $1 million last year, so $231 million is getting paid over the next 3 years?
Yeah, something.
Or 4.
Just, I don't know if there's incentive for him to play better because he's going to get paid no matter what. I get the first year when he came back after that partially finished out I get being rusty then, but I could not explain what went on last year. And then the injury that he may have had, that he may not have had, that was a whole drama thing brewing in Cleveland. And eventually, you're right, he gets sat down in IR. Joe Flacco comes literally off the sofa and
Mm-hmm.
and has a much better showing at quarterback than any time that Deshaun Watson was taking snaps for Cleveland.
He was like, man, this Njoku guy can catch.
Yeah. Yeah. Amari Cooper, look, because Cooper, I mean, still had a good year, but it wasn't a typical Amari Cooper year because very early they just wasn't getting the ball, So, and another thing about Cleveland, week 11 is sketchy because there is one thing that if he were healthy and in Cleveland scares the living bejesus out of me, but for some reason, I don't know what it is. We can't tackle Nick Chubb.
No, we can't.
And so, but he's coming off that devastating knee injury. It sounds like and they want him to try to make it back this year, whether he finishes up because he's in the rehab portion and all that now. If he's able to get back on the field and is 100% Nick Chubb by week 11, I have no clue. But I know this: if he's 100% Nick Chubb by week 11, we are giving up 100 yards rushing in the game.
Yes, and all the stuff I said 5 minutes ago about Cleveland being as easy as Carolina, in my opinion, at that point, changes.
Yeah, yeah,
The-
absolutely,
yeah, just scratch
absolutely.
that piece of paper out and throw it away, and just say, okay, this team's much better
Yeah,
because
so
any quarterback can play better when you have a game changing running back playing.
that we historically, I remember 2 years ago, and it was actually one of the first games Deshaun Watson came back from suspension on uh, right around Christmas
Mhm.
because it was we were up in Cleveland. It was cold. Neither team could really throw the ball, and we couldn't tackle Nick Chubb. I just kept watching 24 with the ball. It's like everybody in the defense knew he was getting it. They just could not get that guy on the ground. And luckily for us, the Cleveland decided, well, we're going to get Deshaun to win this game once we took the
Mhm.
lead and tried to throw it. And I'm just sitting there watching the game. Oh, thank you for not handing it to Chubb because we just couldn't tackle him. So yeah, he gives me nightmares. So if he's 100% healthy, ready to get 20 plus touches in a game
Yeah.
by week 11, yeah, I'm a little nervous on that one. But I think you're right. Barring him and some miraculous turnaround with their quarterback play, I'm liking that week 10, 11, 9, 10, 11 stretch because at
That's the
least
easier
this,
part.
yeah, in this version of Atlanta, we get them at home. So that hopefully eases it a little bit because that roster's improved and their quarterback play has improved 200%. No matter what anybody thinks about Kirk Cousins and opinions vary, he's still better than anything they've had the
Oh,
last couple of years playing a position. So with
agreed.
weapons around it. So and then the bye week. So what you said earlier off camera, you know we're not going to win, but we're not going to lose either.
Yeah, we're not gonna win or lose that week. We may go up and down the leaderboard, but it won't be because of us.
Yeah. So and I think this is the first time in a while we've actually had a late bye. They seem to have been like
Yeah,
earlier the last couple of seasons. And we get the dreaded Rams. I mean,
they have been. I
oh
mean, yeah, there's no 99, no more Aaron Donald, thank God.
yeah, oh
But
god,
that
yeah.
team scares me. Them put them two receivers, Cooper Cup and Paku, was it Pakua? New whatever the heck his name is. Pakua
Yeah.
New or whatever the heck his name is. He's gonna burn somebody.
Yeah. Well, in Sean McVay, um, and this is not look, and you know me, I will bash the living bejesus crap out of DA when I think he
Oh yeah.
deserves it. But his defensive schemes and play calling is normally very good. He's he truly is one of the best in the NFL at that.
Hmm.
Um, but so this isn't a knock on Dennis Allen, but Sean McVay has his number. It's like when we play against the Rams and Sean McVay, I don't care how healthy our defense is, how well they've been playing, what's going on. It's just something where they say styles make fights.
Hmm.
That's just a fight. We don't have a good style, I guess, to match up with Sean McVay. So that's always a just a nightmare for us. I think the few times we've beaten the Rams in the Sean McVay, Dennis Allen matchup era has been games where we just flat out scored them, where the offense was just throwing points up. And anytime last year was a perfect example. Our offense struggled early, and they just dropped the hammer on us so fast the game was over by the second quarter. So
Yes, and since they've owned us since the no call, since
yeah,
the
they kind of
no
have.
call, they've had our number. They're like this. We just gotta figure it out. We gotta figure it out. Somebody needs to make change and do things because they've had our number since the no call was that 2018. That's 6 years.
Yeah, 2018 season.
Yeah,
Um,
January of 19, but it was
I'm
2018
trying
season.
to forget it and push it out of my
Ah,
brain, but God,
I
I hate
know.
it.
We had
But
about
okay,
4 years of bad luck in playoffs. Let's move on.
yeah,
Well, the next part of the schedule, I'm gonna call it the LSU pep rally because December 8th we play the Giants, and that's Malik Neighbors. And December 15th we play the Commanders. That's quarterback Jaden Daniels from LSU. So I'm actually going to enjoy those 2 weeks. I'm going to get to watch LSU guys and other teams. Hopefully we beat them. But that's going to be us watching those guys that we watched 3 years, 2 years play at LSU.
yep. tying over we're crossing the streams on the fan bases there, and
Mhm.
typically, yeah, as a Saints fan, when we roll up against the LSU guys, I want them to throw some numbers up, look good, make the university proud, but not enough to beat us.
Oh, I
Yeah,
agree totally.
you know, so if for instance we play the Commanders and Jane Daniels breaks all kind of single game passing records in that game, as long as we have the W at the end, I'm not going to care. But if we have the loss, it's just going to piss me off.
Yeah,
So
like
keeping
RG3,
things in perspective.
RG3 was a Heisman winner, came in, blew us out the door. Just hope Jalen doesn't hone his inner rookie
Yeah,
RG3.
yeah, and not that he has to lose the game. Just hopefully
Mhm.
somebody else will do it for him, so he doesn't take that step. But yeah, I do enjoy when our LSU guys play well, even if
Mhm.
it's against the Saints, as long as we get the W coming out of it. And
It's
actually, that should be on paper 2 winnable games no matter what. And I know the Commanders are going to be
yes.
better. They've infused a lot of talent, but still, you're turning it over mostly to a rookie quarterback. Um, Even Stroud last year when we played Houston, who he played very well,
Hmm.
but we got him a little earlier in the year before he really got it all dialed in and figured out under Bobby Slovic and started dropping bombs on people's heads. So that might be the thing where it would concern me a little bit. But I think that's when you're looking at the roster to roster matchup there.
Hmm.
Um, I still think they've made huge improvements to their roster because they're probably the third or fourth worst NFL roster in the league last year, and they've changed over a bunch of it. So they should be better. But I still think, especially at home, that should be a W.
They changed the players. They changed the people wearing the headsets and the people that make the
Yeah,
decisions in the front office.
I
So
forgot about bringing Cliff Kingsbury back. So
yeah,
as head coach and de facto OC, because he'll be running the show there and calling the plays. So yeah, that
yes.
does make a difference because I don't know what as a head coach in Arizona if you considered him a success, but Arizona's offense could move the ball and score points while he was there. So
The only thing about him in Arizona was I know he had a nice house that they showed everybody during the draft. That's the only
draft
thing, and
night,
he
yeah,
had them nice shoes on.
yeah. Um, I forgot completely about that. That was the oh yeah, the COVID draft, the COVID year, the
Yes.
draft when everybody was drafting out their house. Yeah, he did have a nice pad. I got to give him that,
Hmm.
which I guess he doesn't have anymore because they fired him. I think later that year. But
Yes.
um,
Oh, Green Bay.
Christmas is going to suck for Saints fans. I'm sorry. We're going to Lambeau in the winter against a pretty good football team, so that one's going to be a rough road to pull a W out of there.
Yeah, we had him last year with Jordan Love, and he scored like 190 points in the last like 2 seconds. And all Saints fans like, what just happened? We were
Yeah.
winning. With what is this? 17 points in like 9 minutes, was it?
Yeah, we gave up 18 basically in the last 9 minutes of the game to lose
Yeah.
it.
I mean, that's the kind of games that you just don't get the taste out your mouth.
No,
So I'm hoping DA coaches up that team that week just using. I mean, you gotta have some kind of method of madness to when stuff like you just have to. He's got to be able to coach them guys up for that game. I'm thinking Green Bay is going to win because Jordan Love showed towards the end. Like his game against us was like his coming out party. And then
absolutely.
at the end of the season, everybody's like was sending CJ Stroud like praises and sending Jordan Love praises. Like they looked like the same guy going through it, even though Stroud looked a little better, but Jordan Love wasn't that far behind him.
Yeah, because for all intents and purposes, Jordan Love was a on-field rookie last year. I know he's been in the league a couple of years, but that was really his on-field trial by fire. And oddly enough, you bring up a good point that um, Stroud, like I said, Stroud wasn't the Stroud that finished the season when we played him. It was like week 6 or 7, somewhere in there, but he was still very good. And I think that was he faced a good defense that he was able to move the ball on, score points, and win the game. And then previous that week 3 or 4, whenever it was we played Green Bay, was already Jordan Love just going out of his mind in the fourth quarter to lead that comeback. And I think that's 2 games when you can do stuff like that with your younger, I'm gonna call Jordan Love near rookie quarterback against a defense like the Saints. That can catapult you to that win streak, that quarterback playing better. And I'm glad you brought that up because one of the things that I think held the Saints back last year in the quarterback play was we never had that real game like that.
No.
And we definitely, maybe New England, but New England was okay. They had the worst NFL roster in the league last year.
Yes.
So it's almost like we were playing a glorified college team in a weird sort of way in that one. So I think it could have been a momentum builder for Derek Carr and the offense to build on, but everybody just realized we beat a bunch of guys that probably shouldn't even be in the NFL, much less starting a game and playing a bunch of snaps against us. So we never got Carr on that momentum roll. And as we're going through the schedule, I'm going, I think there's some games in here.
Mm-hmm.
And it cuts both ways. There's some games in here where a Love or a Stroud can pop us and take a game. But I think there's some games in there where if we could get that victory with Carr playing well, the offense playing well, not bogging down in the red zone, putting points on the board, it would give me enough confidence that some of these games we're calling L's or likely to be losses. All of a sudden, we're back into going, no. We roll an offense in, and this is where Kubiak and all the new guys come in to be able to do this, but get Carr going. Because late in the year, we did kind of get Carr going, but it was almost too late. And the
Too little,
Rams
too
game
late.
really killed us. That was the one really game where we didn't get rolling. And that's the one that killed our playoff chances in reality.
Agreed.
And then and then we finish up. Who thought this was a good idea? I guess the only good thing is we're not going to Vegas to play the Raiders on December 29th, right before New Year's. But I'm like, man, that's a team that I really wish we could have played them earlier in the year, because that's a team going. That would be, well, like we were just talking about, the good jumpstart type game. I think the Raiders would be a good one to have. So hopefully we're in the playoff hunt, and it's a good one to have at the end of the year. But that's the type of team, almost like Tennessee was last year for us. Tough enough test, but if you got them at home, you feel like you should win and get one of those week 2, 3 kind of automatic wins in your hip pocket that after week 1, we don't have any of those until 6 games later.
Garner Minshew at quarterback. That's. I mean, when you face a team that's got Garner Minshew as a quarterback, I mean, no offense to the guy. I mean, seems like a cool cat, but when you're playing that team, you should win. I mean,
Yeah.
the rest of the team. I mean, well, then they lost their running back because their running back's in Green Bay, correct?
Yeah, Jacobs is in Green Bay.
Now they got what?
Well, they got the guy that I wanted to draft, but that's a whole different story. We probably should go off on that tangent. But, and Devontae Adams, they have some players, but I think this is a situation of a team who, much like San Diego, was some good football players saddled with Josh McDaniels, I think they crowned him the most toxic coach in the NFL at one point before he finally got fired. So I think there's a lot, and they kind of had a rolling history there, bad coach after bad coach over there in one issue or another. They're trying to stabilize it with Antonio Pierce, I believe.
It's Antonio Pierce.
Yeah.
Played linebacker for the Giants. And that's what I was about to say. Be careful of the Houston, DeMeco Ryans, a guy who brings energy and brings power. Just the players wanted him. I mean, nobody in the right mind thought, hey, this guy might get the job eventually. And then lo and behold, offseason, you got enough people in that organization that liked him, liked what he was doing, like what happened during the season. Becomes the head coach. I think New England tried to do it with Gerard Mayo.
Yeah.
But I just don't think they have enough. I think LA is closer, like we talked about the players you just mentioned. Like, and you also mentioned that New England was like a 53-man pup list or taxi squad. But no, I think that Pierce, I just said a whole bunch about Garner Minshew, but if they come in here and beat us, it's going to be because their coach AP, and he just comes and does things like happened in Houston last year. That's the Raiders are my Houston team.
Got him excited. And I know there was other coaching changes. I'm really not familiar enough to and that's kind of key too, because they do have some weapons on offense if you get good play out of Minshew and good coaching. Again, Houston with Bobby Slovic. pretty much put the two of those together. Took some
Yeah.
talented guys, got some good schemes going, good coaching, got his quarterback straightened out, playing as a rookie, playing much better than a rookie should play. So yeah, so that one actually could be a dangerous game. It's at home. I kind of like that
Hmm.
feeling of it. If we were playing in Vegas 2 days before, 3 days before New Year's, I'd be like, oh crap, no, that's not good. But Vegas is coming here, so that'll leave. But that's still a type of game I would rather play. And to tie it in with Houston, um, like we got Houston earlier in the year, and I mean, there was a game we probably still should have won, but
Yeah.
some stuff happened late in that game, especially with our play calling, which was atrocious. And yeah, exactly. So hopefully that problem's been solved. But if we'd have faced them later in the year, you're looking at a possible with Rams and Detroit, who were two other playoff teams that we played late in the year, what they did
Mhm.
to us in the
Well,
back end of our schedule last year. So it is kind of looking at this going, we shouldn't, unless they come out of nowhere like Detroit or Houston, you
yeah.
shouldn't have any of those back end after the Rams on December 1st. We shouldn't be getting hammered by one of those um, playoff bound teams like a Detroit, the Rams. God, how do we get them in the back end of our schedule again?
We always do.
Um, yeah, so those are the ones that are a little scary. But
I
on
think
forgot about Green Bay. Yeah, Green Bay.
after the Rams, the games are competitive. The
Yeah,
Giants, Commanders, Packers, Raiders, and even the Bucks. I think all those games will be competitive. Rams game can be competitive. Just don't think it will be. That's like the bottom six, is it? Yeah, 6 games. Yeah,
that's the one. Yeah, that I would be going. I'm definitely just feeling until Dennis Allen, and again, not knocking him. It's just one of those things. Uh, can finally get a defense out there that really holds the Rams down, so we don't have to get in a shootout with them to win. I'd feel better. And if the offense clicks together and Carr starts playing consistent good football, and again, move the ball, get in the red zone, score points, non-field goal points like touchdowns, um, and we get back to that point where we can hang in a shootout with the Rams. I still wouldn't like it, but I would feel better. But right now, we can't win a shootout with the Rams, and Dennis Allen just has not been able to scheme and get something going to prevent them from playing a shootout against us. So, yeah,
with
that's the scariest game on the back end of the schedule. And Green Bay would probably be the second scariest. I wish uh, Green Bay was home. In fact, now I take that back and almost rather go to LA right before New Year's if that meant we'd have been able to get Green Bay at home in late December. So,
we always have them conversation. It seems like the Rams and the Green Bay Packers are now in NFC South because it just feels like we play them dudes every
yeah,
year.
every year.
Every year.
It does. It does. So I would Vegas, the last I saw, and I doubt if they've changed this much in the last 3 or 4 days, but had us as dogs in 10 of these games, basically pulling a 7-10 year. I'm
And
going.
supposedly one of the weakest schedules.
We could very well start out a 1-in 5 situation. I mean, you weren't dead wrong on that. Or 1-in 4ish. It,
Yeah.
it's with Philly. We get how good is Atlanta? The improvements they made that those could be the swing games for us. Neither one of us feels comfortable at Dallas or going to Kansas City.
Mm-mm.
And then Tampa Bay and Denver, I I'd be willing to say 2 wins there. So you might be after week 7, 3-4, 4-3, and I think if you come out of that stretch somewhere in there,
The
you might
11
have a shot.
games, 4-7, like just right now, just off the top of my head, which I hate saying it as a Saints like fan, but Dallas, I think Dak's coming and trying to prove the whole world wrong because everybody for 7 months now has said that Dak pretty much stinks.
Yeah,
So I'm scared of that. Philadelphia, same thing happened when they 11-0, and they just had that terrible ending. I think they have good coaching over there, so I think Philly's going to come in and basically kick. Yeah, they'll come to the dome and kick us around the dome. Falcons, that's for the beginning of time since the Falcons have been playing the Saints. Nobody in that should like. I mean, they will say who they think should win, but that no matter who's playing quarterback, no matter who's playing running back, no matter who's playing any position, is always a tough game.
yeah,
Kansas
oh yeah,
City, No, that's Patrick Mahomes. Tampa Bay, that all depends on that new offensive system they have over there because they lost everybody. Well, coaching wise, not all of the players, but coaching. Denver, I just don't think we're going to lose to Denver, especially if Bo Nix is playing quarterback because I know if rookie and Sean can be Sean. I just don't think we lose to Denver. Chargers, I think that's one of our wins. Panthers, possibly again. The Falcons, we already talked about. Browns, so maybe I'll change it from 4-7 to 5-6 on actually going game by game.
Yeah, I think you're right. Because some of those games could flip. There's only really a
Mhm.
couple we really love, and there's two we really hate. So you're talking about like right there out of 4 games, it's 2-2. So I think a game below 500, somewhere in that range after 5-6 off week 11, would probably pretty much where I'd put it. And week 13, that's a loss. So that
5-7.
yeah. So if you go 5-6 to 5-7, with a chance to win two, get you back to 7-7.
7, and you got 3 to finish the season. You can either go from 10-7 to 8-9. I mean, 9-8. Those, I mean, that's your 3.
Yeah.
10-7 probably nowadays with 7 playoff teams get you in the playoffs. In my humble opinion, 9-8,
Yeah, you're going
close.
to be stretching. Yeah.
8-9, no dice.
And anything below 10 wins, you're banking on at that point, like we were the last couple of years, just trying to win a division and sneak in there, um, which is going to come down to how good or how much did Carolina improve? Is the gamble in Atlanta going to work? And Tampa Bay, can the new Cohen and I can't remember Cohen. It's Cohen and Tampa Bay's the new offensive coordinator. How much can he do what Canales did for him last year? So if everybody in the division splits with each other, which is a possibility, I think you could see a world where one of the teams comes out and plays really well above their heads, sort of like Tampa did last year, because I think they were one of the teams people were predicting at the bottom of the division, and or a situation where everybody just kind of beats up on everybody. We've seen that a couple of times in the last few years, where the whole division's about sitting at 500, and it's just what you do out of schedule. I'm with you. I think those last 3 games, again, starting to having to go to Lambeau, but those last 3 is probably going to, once again, our fate is going to be decided. Um, Coming down the stretch run, trying to win games, and sneak in there as a division champ, or if a
Exactly.
couple things go our way in the last couple of years, we've had some games that we either let slip away or just didn't play well against a team that we should have beat if we'd have played well. 2 or 3 of those a year is the difference in everything. And I can see, I don't know how this keeps happening, but we seem to be establishing another schedule like that where it's going to be week to week, every week, trying to get through that early grind and then go find wins after.
Yeah. I
Try to
think
catch up.
me and you've talked about it many a times. The last 3 games, like you said, we let games get away from us. We talked about love. We talked about other things. You gotta good teams know how to win. Good, you know what I'm talking about? Like
Yeah.
good teams figure out a way to win. Bad teams find ways to lose. So the difference between 10-7, 8-9, 9-8, or whatever, I just got is you got to find a way to win. Like I know we talked about week 7 and Sean Payton, but going through his cycle as coaching, when we were a good team, when people like respected the Saints in NFL because of what Sean did, what our great like organization, we just that's the steps we need to take to get back to the organization where we're a good team and we find a way to win.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I think yes, get out of that system. I hate to say it this way, but it seems like we found ways to lose.
Mm-hmm.
And previously, during the heyday, both the big runs from the roughly 2009 to 2011 teams, and then the teams that finished up from 2017 to roughly 2020, they always found a way to win.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of lost that ability. And if that comes back, you're looking at a lot of things that happened last year, and even on the schedule, again, all on paper, but finding a way to win in those crucial situations, all of a sudden, if you're thinking that this is a 7-10 or an 8-9 team, now you're looking at 10, 11, 12 wins coming out of it in a weird sort of way and it's been missing. And I hate to say that about the Saints, but it's been missing that just dog in them, find the way to win. It's and if it doesn't come back, then yeah, I think you'll see more of the same old that you've seen in the last few years. It's not a horrible football team, but it's well below our expectations. And
Yes.
something, at some point, you're going, look, you either have to step through the threshold like you're talking about and start winning some of these games you should win or you need to win, and not just limping along trying to tread water and stay above 500 and hope you sneak into the playoffs.
This offseason is, since DA's taken over, this is the so far, right, as of right now, today, this team is being run better according to what I think teams should be run than it was for 2.5, 3 years when Sean left and when Drew left. I think they're starting to try to hone things in the past, and people, like, I don't know if people remember, and you just bringing different people in, getting different opinions, but they're making what I think is better decisions than they were making the last 2 or 3 years. I think they were just trying to stuff a team down our mouth, our face. Hey, this team's good, whatever. It's like, no, it's not. It's not. I mean, we lost Drew, we lost Sean. I just think that this team, hopefully, some of these teams will be like, ooh. I mean, we get a victory. That's, as Saints fans, that's what we want. That's what we expect. That's what we hope.
Yeah, I I agree 100% what you're saying, but you kind of struck a chord there when it wasn't. I felt lied to as a Saint fan what they were telling us the last couple of years, but sometimes I wonder if it was deliberate because they knew things had kind of deteriorated somewhat, and they were just trying to put a positive spin on it. But I'm like, you can't do that, man. It's, you got to kind of be honest with us. And in a way, they're being honest now. They're not telling us the exact plan, but we can look around and see what they're doing now, which I agree with. They should have been doing, because I think what they didn't do at all was an honest self-evaluation process. And by self-evaluating, I mean the roster. How good was it really? The coaching staff, how good are these, or how well are these guys doing their jobs as coaches? Scouting, I think some type of malaise kind of just worked its way down throughout the organization. And I do think they're getting rid of it right now, which some of these games we're calling too close to call, and we want to peg as losses, or we're pegging as losses. If you turn that around, we're going to peg them as wins.
Mm-hmm.
It's that simple. So
losing Drew and losing Sean, when it happened, like me and you for years, all our friends, we like, y'all do not know what it's going to be like when we lose a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Yeah.
And arguably a Hall of Fame coach, because some people say he should be in the Hall of Fame. You lose a Hall of Fame at the two most important things in football, quarterback and head coach. For 3 years, I find like there was snake oil salesmen trying to tell me, yeah, we're still good. It's like, dude, you don't have Drew and you don't have Sean. Let's be real and let's figure this out and let's move forward and get better.
And I think that you actually hit the key. Is it? I believe what started this kind of, and I think it was a little bit Sean at the end after Drew left. I do think he saw what was happening coming, and he didn't have his buddy Drew anymore. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but really just going, this organization is going to have to start over. I'm going to have to start over. And it was probably good for both of parting of ways, and instead of him trying to do it here. However, the problem was the organization itself didn't want to start over. They wanted, what was the phrase? They would roll it back or whatever that they were using.
Mm-hmm.
We can, no. But now, with whether it's going to work or not, bringing in Shanahan, the zone scheme, some of the coaches that they brought in, and what they're going to try to do. And you and I've talked about it, and we've told people, and I've been telling them here on the channel, it's going to look different. It's going to look as different as it looked when Sean and Drew showed up in 2006. And
Yes.
everybody's going, we were used to deuce and a cloud of dust to carry the offense at that point, and everything changed. And all of a sudden, we went from, look, just score a couple touchdowns and get 10 points on the board and let our defense win it to, no, screw that. We have an offense. Let's go run and gun and score points.
Yeah.
And I want to get back to that. I really, really do.
And it was much fun watching those games.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm gonna peg. I'm purposely avoiding writing down and putting the 7 wins I think we're gonna get down on. Although I guess this will be online forever, so somebody can sit here and scrub it and figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm feeling 7-10, 8-9 as it stands right now, which means absolutely nothing because we hadn't even had a mini camp yet, much less
No.
training camp or anything else. But I think just on paper, trying to figure out best what the teams have done in the off season, getting ready to the point where, okay, 3 months, we're gonna be getting down and dirty. I think the Saints. I think the key here is they haven't declined from '03 to where we are right now in '04 as much as they did the couple previous off seasons
No.
overall. So at least treading water is good, but I think they've actually, and you mentioned it, the stuff they've done, especially on the roster so far, I think they've gotten better. So I think that's the point. I'm going 7-10. I'm just not telling you which 7 they're going to win.
I'm
That's mine.
I'm stuck between 8-9 and 9-8. I guess like a little more optimism. I mean, we're throwing out numbers right now in the season, and we only have one position filled on the offensive line, so we still need 4 positions. So I mean, all these numbers right now are just total guesses. Total. I mean, this is not a like a science, like a thesis. No, this is
No,
just
no.
us.
It's
Like,
a, it's it's a work in progress, much like our offensive line trying to find the other 4 starters. But
I mean, 7 years ago, I'd have been like, man, we could probably go 12-5. We could probably go 11-6 easily. But
yeah,
now, I
no,
mean, hope and happenstance that all the moves we think are right, hopefully makes it go up to better
yeah,
games. But I agree with you. Somewhere between 7-10 and 9-8. That's a 3 game stretch. Like I'm not
uh,
gonna pick one like you. I went with like a 3 game. Like I'm gonna slap it right there. I'm gonna cover 3 games.
yeah,
So I'll just stay in the middle and I'll go 8-9.
8-9. Yeah,
Mhm.
and I can really see it either. Like I said, there's really only a couple clear wins on here, and there's about one more clear loss, and you're looking at clear wins. So you're the games. I feel like about 5 or 6 of them or 7, like we were talking about, somewhere around 3 and 4, and then you just kind of playing chance from there. But you're right about what this is all coming down to is the coaching staff and the additions we've made. Because while you were talking about that just now, it popped into my head going, if we still had Pete Carmichael and Doug Marone and all them going through what we're through now, where they were running the show, I'd be calling we're 3-14. You know, that's the numbers I'm looking at. So even as I'm doing this, and I'm kind of depressed myself, going, man, I'm struggling to see us below 500. Kind of everything else being the same, but the other people in charge of the offense that we had the last couple of years, I'm going, no, there's no way we could win 7 games. No way we could win 7 games. None. So
Yep.
I do feel better in that regard. And to your point, if it works like we're hoping and they're thinking it's going to work, yeah, some of these games I'm writing off are going to go the other way. So I'm just not giving us much chance to win the 50-50s, I guess, right now until we prove we can win the
Well, right
50-50s.
now we haven't proved any of that. Like the current team, the after Sean and Drew teams,
Yeah.
we haven't learned it. Once we learn that, I mean, we can start talking 12, 13, 11, 10. I mean, that side of the spectrum, the side we like for victories, not the below 8 and below 7. Nobody
Yeah.
likes.
Yeah. Nobody wants to talk about that. I get it. But, at the same time, look, we started this thing going real talk for real Saints fans. So I'm not going to get up here, sit up here and do like I did years and
Pump,
years ago,
pump
going,
smoke.
yeah, pump smoke, just going deep down, knowing when I said, yeah, we're going to win 12 or 13 this year, but deep down knowing there's no way we're going to win 12 or 13. But, um, yeah, I'd like one of those games, those building block games, like going into Dallas and beating them
Mm,
would be one. If
that
you
would be
could
amazing.
roll into Cowboy Stadium into Jerry's World and beat the Cowboys week 2, it'd be the equivalent of kind of what Green Bay did to us.
Mhm.
last year. And that's the building block game. All right, boys, let's go. So uh do agree with you on that one that any of those games in that stretch we're talking about as losses, if they could pull it out, it's a building block game if they capitalize on it and get the roll going. We need the roll. We need the 3, 4, 5 game win streak rolls that we
Yes.
haven't had in years. And
As a
I'm assuming they're not going to come. So it's hard
yeah.
for me to look at the schedule and pick them.
As a fan, I know we're talking about these games like the Cowboys. We talk about the Eagles, and let's say Kansas City. Me as a fan, I'm saying loss. But as long as my team's competitive, I won't like be ecstatic. But I'll be like, you know what? I mean, you prove something to somebody at least when you're competitive. I mean,
It
you
would be
don't learn anything
progress.
from a loss, but exactly it'd be progress. Because like last year and the year before, we'd probably lose to Kansas City by 3+ touchdowns, 2+ at least 17 points or whatever. And you play within 10 points, you play within 7 points. You're showing something to the league. I mean, you're showing us a heartbeat, a life, like because it's not that's not the bottom end of your teams. That's the top tier of this whole league. And whenever we can hang with those guys again, we're back.
Yeah. We're building it back and move it in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
Because it has been going in the wrong direction. Not over a cliff yet, but it was headed that way. But hopefully we got it stopped, turned around, and this will be the year. So as we close this down, I'm going to say I got to stick 7-10. I talked myself into it because this last little pep talk you just given me, I'm going, well, man, okay, 8-9, 9-8, maybe, but no, I'm still riding the set. I said 7-10. I'm riding the 7-10.
I'm gonna stay 8-9 still, and I'm just gonna hope I'm wrong. But 8-9 looks like somewhere in that vicinity to me.
Uh, I can't argue that. I don't think I can argue less than 7 right now, and there's no way I can argue 11 or more. I could maybe
No,
put a case together for 10-7. I wouldn't try to do it, but maybe before the season, we keep seeing the positive signs we've seen so far since March of this year. Then maybe, but right now, can't quite do that and be honest about it. So we'll definitely revisit this right before the season, and
oh yeah,
in that one, I'll go ahead and put my name down on which ones we're going to win and which ones we're going to lose. So this is like the too early version
the way
of
too early.
the way too early version, but our best, and it really is a best guess right now. So
We're gonna have to have revision one the
yeah,
first week of the regular season before.
schedule show 1.0. So
Mm-hmm.
um, thanks for joining us tonight, and let everybody know we will be seeing more of Scott. Just right now, he is in the uh, chaos of having so much to do. I don't have enough free time to let me know, hey, can we sit down and do some filming and shooting?
Yeah.
Which was okay because there really wasn't a lot going on. But as the season gets closer, hopefully you get the schedule of what most of us have normally, where you can go, hey, Tuesday nights, I'm good. Let's jump on and talk about some Saints stuff. So, but once all that gets worked out for him, and I'm thinking we'll be chatting once a week on the channel, Scott and I. So
Yep.
we
I
may
plan
even
on
think
it.
of a title for the show and everything else, but I don't know. Who knows? So
We'll
all
figure it
right,
out.
yeah, we'll figure it out. So like I said, he will be popping in when he can, and we will be talking some Saints. But other than that, everyone, please like, share, subscribe, hit the notifications. You know
Spiel.
whole spiel. Before you go, actually, down in the comments, uh, everybody say thank you, Scott, for showing up because not to get into it, but yes, you had some unscheduled stuff happen this afternoon, and we almost didn't even get to sit down for this hour to be able to talk. But the man pulled it out like a champ. So, see, he knows how to win close games because it was close. He pulled it out, and we're alive tonight. So, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Scott. Have a good night, everybody.
Bye, y'all.